Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to the Republic of Ireland once again. So we're just going out a little bit to the west of Dublin to County Kildare, a little town called Selbridge, and we're doing my first beer review from Whiplash. So this one is called Fantasm Plains. It comes in at 5.5% ABV. It's a pale ale, this one, and there's two things that quite interest me about this. Firstly is that it uses a cool yeast, which I've never heard of in a pale ale, and they're also combining Citra and Amarillo with Hallertau Blanc from Germany, so that should be a really interesting thing about this one. But it was the artwork actually that caught me with this one. I thought it was really quite cool, but this seems to be a really small brewery that's a side project, and of course for a long time we actually couldn't get Irish beers in Scotland, so it's quite cool to come down to England when I'm here and actually see some more Irish beers, and the ones that are getting across here seem to be of really good quality, both from the north of course and from the Republic, so it's good to see that the craft beer scene is thriving over there. So looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward a little bit. All the usual links are in the description below. That's brewery website, link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Whiplash. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. There are playlists there as well for the beers from different countries, definitely one for the Irish beers. This one will be in that when it uploads, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Whiplash then. So Whiplash, is as I mentioned to you earlier, is a side project, and it's the side project of Alex Laws, who is the head brewer at Rye River Brewing in Selbridge in County Kildare in Ireland, as I mentioned, just to the west a little bit of Dublin. But he called it Whiplash at a jibe, really kind of as a jibe at how fast the craft beer industry is moving, and his company, he says, does actually go kind of quite slow because it is just a side project. But the company is also kind of co-owned and kind of facilitated by Alan Wolfe, who's the boss of Rye River. But for a long time Alex was a home brewer. He took part in various home brewing competitions across Ireland before turning professional and working for Brewtonic and Otterbank, and then he was later involved in setting up the Rye River Brewing Company, which was one of the first newly built microbreweries in Ireland for over 100 years. So he wanted to continue producing his own beers, and Rye River have been really supportive of this. So many of the Whiplash beers are actually brewed in the Rye River facility, but Alex plans and brews the beers while Alan deals with things like getting the labels printed, getting the tank space kind of planned out, ordering bottles and cans, and getting the beers actually out there to the distribution networks for sale. And as of late 2017 they've produced around 15 beers under the Whiplash name, and from what he was saying on the website, from what Alex was saying, basically as soon as a tank space comes up, he actually just kind of makes a beer from scratch and kind of goes for it. So you will see some really quite unique things. I'm not sure if these are one-off brews or if he does kind of plan to do them on a bigger volume or a bigger scale in the future, but they're supposed to be quite good, and I'm sure if they weren't, you know, they wouldn't be stocked by Glug in Newcastle. So yeah, it should be a really interesting one. So I'll put the link to Glug as well. As I said before, they're actually moving to a new shop. They're based in the Granger Market at the moment, but by the time you view this video they probably will have moved out into their new shop on Granger Street. So if you are in Newcastle, definitely a shop that you do want to go and check out. But yeah, as you can see, nice artwork on this one. It actually reminds me a little bit of the thing, it reminded me of kind of Cloudwater's kind of style of artwork a wee bit. And that was what caught my eye with this one when I was in the shop with this. But there you can see, it tells you about brewed at Rye River over in County Kildare in Ireland. There you can see it lists the ingredients on the bottom here. Just checking, you're seeing that Fantasm Plains, extra pale. But yeah, really nice artwork. So without further ado then, I guess we can get this guy open. As I mentioned to you, this one is a 5.5% pale ale. It's hot with Citra, Amarillo, Hallertau Blanc from Germany, and it has a malt base of Pilsner wheat and Carapils malts, and it uses a cool yeast, which as far as I know is quite unusual when it comes to pale ales. So yeah, we'll get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. So yeah, you can smell some of that Citra coming off this beer just as you get it out. You can smell those nice kind of mango notes. There's a wee bit of the orange from the Amarillo coming out as well. That looks really nice. So as you can see, as you would probably expect from the pale ales and IPAs, this guy's poured a nice kind of bright but hazy yellow. You can see that beer really is quite hazy. So there's a solid finger of a frothy white head on this one. Looks really nice. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but really it just looks like a kind of solid, opaque, kind of bright yellowy colour, that one. I'll just bring it up to the camera and make sure you're seeing that. Looks really quite nice, but yeah, pretty much looks exactly as you would expect from a pale ale. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then and see how we got on. I should probably point out it does look kind of quite similar to a New England, one of these New England pale ales that's going about just now. But yeah, that smells really quite nice. One thing I should probably point out about that, at 5.5%, it is definitely, I think, in pale ale territory. I've actually seen a couple of 6.5% pale ales recently, and the pale ale, the IPA and the double IPA and stuff, it's all to do with the malt to hops ratio. There's more malt in as you kind of go up the scale, if you like. But this one, I'm pretty sure, is definitely in the pale ale category at 5.5%. I have seen pale ales at 6.5% and thought that's more of an IPA, but this one definitely pale ale. But it smells really nice, this one. It's definitely leaning towards the juicy kind of fruity side of things. So yeah, I'm actually getting quite a bit of the oranges in this one. You really can smell the big oily character of the citron there, the juicy mangoes coming out. And the oranges really are mixing with that very well. If you take a step back from it a little bit, you can pick out some of the kind of complexities that you expect from Citra, like a little bit of gooseberry, sometimes a little bit of lychee comes out, and you can sometimes detect a wee bit of a sort of lemon limey note. And what's interesting about this one, if you sugar it up a little bit, if you do sugar it up a little bit, you can pick up a little bit of the noble character from the Hallertau hops. If you're quite into German beers, I really am into German beers, of course, as you will have seen if you've watched the channel before. I really love that little kind of aromatic, that really distinctive floral aromaticity that you get from noble hops, and you can pick up a little bit of that and some of the almost lemongrassy character. Probably not quite lemongrass, but there's a very distinctive, slightly lemony, grassy character that you get from noble hops too. But the malt base in this one, I would say, is quite subdued. This beer really leans towards the juicy, fruity side of things. It doesn't come up, it is really juicy. It doesn't have too much of the floral character. It's really leaning towards the mangoes and the oranges more than anything. But you can pick up a little bit of that sort of white bready, kind of wheaty and slightly almost biscuity malt base. The biscuity ones, of course, will be coming from the Carapils malt. But it pretty much smells exactly as you would expect, but it really does lean towards that juicy side of things, like I was saying. But it smells really good. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. But we're going to try this one now. So this one is the Fantasm Plains, which is from Whiplash Brewing Company, which is brewed at Rye River in County Kildare over in Ireland. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte. Yeah, that's a pretty damn good beer. I'll say that straight up. The first thing that comes into my head with this one is how smooth the malt base is. It has a really quite smooth malt base. And I like how that comes across. Like, it comes in and it's quite juicy and you can get a little bit of that hoppy bitterness. But it's just the first thing that caught me is the smoothness and the slight sweetness that you get from the malt base. But yeah, I'll say straight away, this is a good quality pale ale. And I think this brewery, if they keep on going, they are going to be one of the more popular breweries that you'll find from the Republic of Ireland. That's a very good quality beer. So as I always say, sugar the beer around your palate a little bit and let your whole mouth adjust before you start analysing it too much. But that's really nice. So right, we'll start with the malt base then, because that's what I said kind of struck me first. So with this one, I can feel there's a wee tiny little bit of a grainy character just pushing its way through as the flavour progresses, and that builds a good bridge with the hops for me. You can feel a little bit of that kind of noble character pushing its way out, but you also get some of the kind of floral aromatic spice that you expect from the Citra and the Amarillo. You can feel that on the edges of your palate, and that spicy character, that very slight spice you get from the malt base, builds a good bridge with that. It's really nice. But yeah, the malt base in this one, you can feel the kind of white bready character. It's you can feel a little bit of that kind of thicker and slightly sweet wheat character from it. There might be a little bit of spice to the wheat malts actually. That might be where it's coming from, right enough. But yeah, if you go right to the middle of the palate, you can feel there's a little bit of that biscuity sweetness too, which is really quite nice. The malt base goes together really quite well in this one. And you can feel the lightness from the Pils malt as well. The Pils malt in this one, you can feel, like, you've seen how long it was since I took a sip, you can detect that little bit of kind of distinctive Pils character, and that does again with the German hops that are in this one, it does kind of give you the idea of there being a sort of Pilsner base to the beer, which is quite an interesting one actually, because it has that juicy, fruity character and some of the smoothness and sweetness from the malt base that you'd expect of an IPA or something like that, but you can detect there's just a little bit of a Pils edge to it. So it's quite an interesting concept, this one. A pale ale, of course, is meant to be more sessionable than an IPA, so this is actually, for me, I think that's quite an interesting way to go about it. And then again, you've got the cool yeast as well, which is another thing. That spicy character, right enough, might well be coming from that a little bit, because the yeast has quite a profound effect on the flavour, I would say. But it's really just nice how this one goes together. The first thing I would say about this is it is really quite light and drinkable and quite crisp, but at the same time it does just have that little bit more to it that you expect of a pale ale or an IPA or something like that. So it's a really interesting concept beer, this one. On the hoppy side of things, I would say there's a wee touch of earthiness in the back corner of the palate, and that'll be, it's actually got that kind of distinctive earthiness that you would expect from the Hallertau hops, from the German noble hops. It's actually quite a sweet earthiness, and as you come further forward along the sides of your palate, you can feel that sort of floral aromatic spice there. And it does actually get quite bitter towards the front of your tongue, but round the very front curve of the palate, that's where you get that lighter, kind of nice grassy note. And just as you go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you'll get the little oily bubble where the juicy fruits come out. There's a wee touch of grapefruit there just kind of underpinning it, but on top of that, you get the typical flavours that you expect from the Citra and the Amarillo. So that's the mango from the Citra and the orange from the Amarillo. And as you progress further and further into the aftertaste, as I say again, you've seen how long it was since I took a sip. I'm starting to get a little bit of the light cheese and a wee bit of an almost gooseberry note coming out of this one. Maybe a bit of a limey character as well. But the whole beer goes together really quite well, and I do like that. It has, for me, you know, it's a really good quality pale ale. You could compare this to some of the likes of, Magic Rock and Northern Monk and Cloudwater and things like this, and it has the same sort of quality of flavour, but it's got a slightly different feel to it because of these kind of almost lager kind of session Pilsner beer sort of elements that it has, the cool yeast, the Pilsner malt and things like that. It's really just interesting, and the Hallertau hops, of course, it does have this almost kind of little German kind of tint to it, which is really interesting. This one probably actually would be a good gateway beer for drinkers that are used to kind of German traditional beer to get into the IPAs and stuff like that. And there are more traditional German brewers starting to use New Zealand hops and things like that in their Helles beers and stuff, which is really quite interesting. So this one would probably be a really interesting gateway beer for some German drinkers actually. But in terms of quality, for me, it's really good. The Amarillo is one of my favourite hops. I really like the Citra as well. I love the orange flavours that you get out of this one, but the thing that you're going to take away from this beer is that it is very good quality. So I do hope we see more of these Whiplash beers over in Scotland and hopefully over in Sweden at some point when I get back out there as well. But a very, very good pale ale. So if you like what I've kind of described, got the typical flavours that you expect from these higher quality IPAs and stuff that you'd expect in England, like Cloudwater, Magic Rock and all these things, but it does have a little bit of a German kind of tint to it with the kind of sessionable German lager kind of Pilsner beer type tint, so it's really, really cool in that regard. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say it's mid-bodied. It actually kind of has the same consistency as a German Helles in some respects. It's got a little bit of oily character to it, it's got a bit of kind of smoothness. The carbonation's moderate on this one, but it does have a little bit of crisp character to it as well. It's got a little bit of IBUs, it's not too bitter though, malt base is kind of fairly sweet, and the fruity character, it's got a nice little bit of juicy fruitiness to it as well. But overall the quality of this beer is pretty damn good, so I do hope I see more of these Whiplash beers in the future. But it's been really cool to review my first one for you guys from Whiplash, and hopefully I can return to them in the near future. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual stuff. Do check out my social media, make sure you follow Whiplash on Facebook and all of these kind of things. Let me know what your favourite beers are from these guys, and from Rye River, of course, in the description below. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. And until the next time, Slange just now a really, really cool beer, the Fantasm Plains from Whiplash Brewing Company, the side project of the guy who brews for Rye River over in County Kildare in Ireland. So Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers.